right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Tom Reed. I'm the chair of the third Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. The first thing we're going to do is start with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands.
So we're high tech today, which means I have to read some disclaimers here. In addition to being able to attend in person, this meeting is being live streamed, and staff will continue to make available to the public contact using the Zoom webinar platform. I will go through specifics for how to join the webinar and will give details on how the public can offer their public testimony. Let's call roll. And we had a little tradition we started where everybody gets to say their name and I'll just start with me. I'm John Reed. Okay, we'll do that.
Rick Martindale, Joel, airtime manager.
David Reed, programs manager.
Tisha Newell, account payable.
Bruce Vanis, management intern, airports.
William Gibson, CIP, AP division.
Chuck McFarland, fire rescue department, chief of air operations. And emerging technologies.
Welcome. Andy Schwartz, airport manager.
Larry Rothrock, Swimmer Aircraft.
Charlie Broadbent, airport manager.
Okay, but Richard, we're not gonna let these guys get here, so. Yes,
Stephanie Bradshaw, City of San Diego Fire Rescue Department.
welcome.
James Batika, City of San Diego engineering.
Welcome.
This way?
Yeah.
Debbie Schauer, property agent, City of San Diego.
All good to see you.
Asa Charles, program manager, City of San Diego.
Thank you.
The Thurman Collective Airport.
Good to see you.
Alex Howard, Assistant GM.
Welcome, John.
Richard Robb, Mystic Community.
Thank you.
Dick Gordon, AAC member, special expertise.
Gary List, EAA Brownfield. Tom Ricotta, San Diego Density Brownfield.
All right, we have a quorum present. Also attending the meeting are airport management and staff. I'm going to read something because I have to. If you are in person, please complete a speaker slip located at the entrance of the southwest entrance and right, Mr. Reed. That Mr. Reed, not Mr. Reed. And then we'll ensure that people can speak in a timely manner. In-person testimony will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Members of the public can also join the webinar by computer or smartphone by accessing the links which is listed online and the language of the agenda. If you need to participate by telephone, you may dial 1-669-254-5252, and the webinar ID is 161-093-9866. This information is also available on the agenda. Please note that if you're watching via online or maybe a delay, please participate via the audio on your phone and mute your TV, your computer, and barking dogs when I give them to speak. If you wish to speak on a particular item, wait for that item to be called and wait for the hand to speak by tapping the raise your hand icon. Or if you are a calling participant, you may hit *9 on your cell phone. If you raise your hand during a non-comment period, your hand will be lower. So, apologize about that, but we have to do that to make sure we are all legal. We will now go to agenda item number 3, which is non-agenda public comment. This is an opportunity for members of both subject matter.
We have one non-agenda public comment from
Virtually?
Sandra S.
Okay. And would you like to invite Sandra S. to speak?
Sandra, you should be okay to speak now.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Sandra Stahl, former executive director of Montgomery Gibbs Environmental Coalition, now affiliated with Clean Earth for Kids. Mr. Rubio, apparently you and the Department of Real Estate Management consider our children as collateral damage for your high-level total project, as you call it. It will delay installation of a tank for unleaded fuel till the end of 2025 at the earliest. That's a project time estimate for just the design contract you gave to Councilman Capilla's office. It doesn't even list installing the tank. The 1.442 tons of toxic lead particles from airport operations that rained down on our community was a visible toxic spill, the city would be on it in a minute to clean it up. But because those toxic particles from leaded avgas are not visible, you and the city of San Diego apparently feel there's no danger to public health, regardless that the health experts say otherwise. And you know, babies brought home today from the hospital to live in communities surrounding MYF will be 2.5 years old at least by the time the unleaded fuel tank is installed. And those early years are when their little brains are quickly developing. And the toxic lead replaces calcium in their growing brains, leading to lower IQ and other developmental problems that you, Mr. Rubio, and the city of San Diego apparently don't care about those children. Just collateral damage necessary for your high-level total project, when other airports are making it a priority to quickly get unleaded fuel offered. And why not MYF? Now, if you care at all about the children, you will find a way to get that fuel tank installed pronto and start offering unleaded fuel at MYF.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Are there any other comments on agenda items? Okay. Moving to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes. Did everybody have the opportunity to read the minutes? I read them, and I'll try to find something wrong with them, so it proves I read them. I couldn't find one thing. It's spelled read right. So do we have any comment on any questions?
I believe my being marked late was from the prior meeting.
Yeah, he showed up exactly when we told him to show up. Remember,
There was some confusion over the beginning time from February.
he should not, there should not be a late mark on it.
I don't want to do the attention.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Mike. I was excused by letting you know I was.
Right, right. The part there was excused. So with those corrections, we have a move to approve minutes. Chuck and Joe, so moved. Second, Tom, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? Good count. Okay, all abstaining? Okay. One abstention? All right, the minutes have been approved. We're moving on to item number 5, unfinished business. We have any unfinished business? No, today. Not today. Excellent. Moving right along. We are at new business, which is the review and approval of the airport fire bylaws. Mr. Hill, I think you had something to say about that.
Last clause, the last sentence.
That is the words
When
when requested. And as a committee, we can just advise that that be done. So Andrew, would you mind striking out the words when requested at the bottom bullet point on page 1? Yeah, got it. Under control. I love it. All right. Is there any other public comment on the bylaws? Okay, let's have a vote. Somebody's got to move that we approve them. Please. Oh, yes. Okay, Tom has moved that we approve them. We have a second by Dave Gordon. All in favor of approving the airport advisory committee bylaws as amended? All opposed? Abstentions? Moving at the speed of bureaucracy, we are on item number 7, informational item. These don't require a vote. The city of San Diego Fire Department air hangar and apron project draft environmental assessment announcement. You gentlemen have something to say?
Yeah, that'll be me.
That's the best place over here, maybe. Let yourself know.
All right. Thank you for having us again. My name is James Botica. I'm with Engineering Capital Project here. I'm joined with the Chief Farling, Fairhouse County Chief, and our Senior Engineer Bill Gibson, as well as Stephanie Bracci, Project Officer of San Diego Fire Rescue. We have had an ongoing project for the Air Ops Battalion to hopefully build up some hangars and an apron area here near the air traffic control tower. It's been a substantial process ongoing for several years. And currently we are trying to obtain a environmental assessment permit through the FAA for the Federal National Environmental Protection permitting process. Currently, we've gone through their legal review and receive comments for that. And part of this process is a 30-day public noticing period where the draft EA will be posted online and physically available to the public to review and provide comment. We are currently targeting the month of May. The dates will be updated once we kind of get that confirmation from the FAA, but they will be made publicly available both here at the terminal. We'll provide a hard copy, as well as the ceremony occurring next to the library. And they will also be located at the project page. Will you be able to put that one? So any member of the public can view this, what we call as a capital improvement projects feature page. Some projects require just a little bit more information for the public. And this is that project. So what we have here is project overview, anticipated schedule and budget. And near the bottom, if you can please scroll down, we have the documents in question. So you can view the CEQA California environmental permit, which we have obtained so far. And you can also view the draft EA for the federal permit, which is available here. And we also have the postings of where they would be located. And again, we just wanted to get the word out that public noticing will take place hopefully in May. And to, encourage any comment or review the document, and we will then obtain all the comments, compile them, address them, or respond to them with the in coordination with the FAA to either revise the document or make sure it's all heard. Are there any questions?
I know you can't stick to anything right now, but what's your best guess on when you start construction?
Construction is to be determined and pending funding from the city. So once we get the environmental permit, then design will have to be refined and then construction. So that's a little bit out of reach right now. First things first, we're just trying to get the permits in hand before we can commit to any construction.
Understood? Thank you.
Can you speak to the permitting process and the progress on the unleaded fuel tanks?
Not at this time, but I'd be happy to provide Jorge an update to that with potential comment.
So we're working with them, during my staff report is when I'll be talking about what the progress is regarding the other equipment.
Okay, any other questions?
Just for clarity, we will also be presenting to the Framus Community Planning Group next week with the same announcement and presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I love how short that is. Item 7 is now staff report, so I'm gonna turn it over to-
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have a couple of things going on, as you may imagine. Let's just start with program manager Charles. She can give us an update.
Hi, everyone. At Brownfield, staff and city attorneys are continuously working with the possession of the already sold. The roof repairs at the terminal building have been completed, and staff is reviewing the memorandum of understanding between the city and CBP. At Montgomery Field, staff is working with the buyer for the Sheraton Four Points Hotel for the potential assignment of the leasehold. We currently have 2 tie downs available at City Hangar West. At the Montgomery Field office complex, staff continues to work on an RFP for services for a property management company to manage the 3 office buildings in the retail center. The MOU for Development Service Department and taking the 2 suites are routing for signatures. And that will be bringing us an additional $110,000 per year in rent. On the retail center, the tenant's new signage has been installed. We're looking into refurbishing the parking lot and repairing the drain on the driveway on Arrow Drive. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Charles?
Is the intended buyer of the hotel made public yet?
No, it hasn't.
Thank you, and let's move to Charlie, the manager from Gibbs.
All right, afternoon, committee members and everyone. There were over 22,000 operations in March. Gate 9 was repaired. Gate 1 right now is under construction. We're adding a new gate operator and access control system that will be upgrading the security there. To that gate, it's the one off of Ponderosa Avenue. The parking meters for the aircraft and vehicle parking payments were installed at NYF and also at Montgomery and also at Brownfield. We're still awaiting some of the programming for those to get them fully online, but that should be in the near future. And the purchase order for the asphalt repair over on the Marigold hangar area is pending. It's processing, but it's still pending. We don't have a construction date yet, but it's going through. We'll keep you updated on that one. Thank you.
So, spoke about this briefly before, but saw your new sweeper out there doing the hangar roads by Marigold. Right after you went through, the problem with the sweeper is it doesn't vacuum up the stuff all over it. I guess it vacuums, but it also sweeps, will condition the asphalt. It also creates more pie. Picked up on that just on the road where Cirrus is. So there's got to be some better way to clean up.
Right, so our contingency plan for that, and you were actually out there kind of as we were conducting that operation. And we went back and did a FOD walk and then also, and picked up all the FOD that may have been there, that you collected some of it, thank you very much, sir.
I'm not complaining, I'm
You
just
saw
saying,
an application.
there's got to be a better way to clean up. I keep going back to this. I was a junior high, janitor had this great big block behind vacuum. Didn't have a sweeper, just vacuumed up stuff. I think something like that needs to be done as opposed to run on the sweeper. We got a brand new ramp cleaned up, sweeper's fine. But when the condition the ramps are in, a lot of the surfaces around the airport, sweeper is going to potentially do more damage. Fix. So I'm assuming something like that still does. We can walk behind vacuum.
Well, essentially that's, I mean, what the super is, I mean, it's never gonna be 100% pick up every particle. But, you know, the contingency plan in place to do the FOD walk behind the sweeper, pick up anything. That's been the same with even our contractor that brings the sweepers out and sweeps the rest of the airport essentially. There's always something you gotta pick up behind them. It's not a perfect system where it's gonna pick up everything. As we improve the asphalt, and especially in the Marigold area and some of the other aging asphalt, the sweepers really do a good job because they're picking up just like fine sand and gravel that's very fine, smaller particles. So it does have a harder time picking up the larger stuff. That's why we do a FOD walk behind it.
Charlie, we're just weeks away from having that, right? Not months or years.
It should be about a month.
Okay.
With scheduling and everything, I think.
Yeah, I hope we get it, you get the slurry seal or the asphalt, whatever, that's what it means.
So if you allow me, this is the first time that we're getting a sweeper, so we're trying to see what it can do. Obviously, there is a consequence for the right course and.
Thanks, Charlie. Can you talk about the new machines for stuff like that? Either I missed it or.
Yeah, so it's still being, the programming is still being worked out, but essentially, they'll be able to pay for overnight fees that we already have on our schedule of fees. Basically in the city parking lots at both airports. Individuals would be able to pay for overnight vehicle parking and then transient aircraft parking. They'll be able to pay for single engine parking, multi-engine parking. And then we're working on, which is the tricky part of the programming, is adding in the ability to add, and pay landing fees from the kiosk. So above 12,500, it's $1.10 per pound. And then below, that's a set fee of $11, but that'll all be available via kiosk, so it's easier to for customers to make those payments.
Will the machine automatically tell the person how much landing fee is, or will that be calculated themselves?
That would be, it'll just have the option to select it at this point, yeah. And if they have any questions about the calculation,
I just mean, difference between like a King Air and Gulfstream, will the machine know the difference, or is that?
you wouldn't know, so it's pretty basic with the programming that they have available, so it'd just be basically a scroll down selection of a King Air and the price, and or the, you know, say like a King Air 200 is 12,500 pounds, they'd be able to select 12,500 pounds and have the fee for that, which is $13.75.
And I gotta say, getting those machines in here was a task, but we were not ready to launch it yet before we worked everything out. Right now, they're actually marked out of service until we're able to figure those things out. And once we do, we will make an announcement and we will put up the proper signage of how to use it with instructions to the machines.
Correct me if I'm wrong, so they're only aircraft are only charged overnight. It's pretty.
Overnight fees and transient are charged regardless of weight.
Okay. So it's not, okay, so it is for like a single stops overnight. Okay,
According to our schedule of fees.
because I think the larger aircraft, my impression is that very few of them are transient.
Currently, yeah, they would have the ability to pay on the kiosk in the future when it's programmed. But if they're not parked there, they would pay Crown Air for whatever services they provided, and then, yeah.
Okay. Question
For other FBOs, whatever FBO they were using.
Andy, do the F-18s that park overnight at your airport, do they pay a landing fee?
No, they do not.
No military.
Okay, I'm just curious.
They buy fuel sometimes.
They do buy a lot of people over time, does that, right? Okay.
Thank you. So let's move now with Andy Schwartz.
Good afternoon. Last month we had 7,181 operations. So I've got some updates here on things I mentioned in the past. Our further fence that was damaged back in December, that's finally been repaired. Looks great, seamless. They did seamless jobs. So our battery lights on 8 left have been returned to service. That took a little bit, and we finally got that done. We're currently working on this Neo Electric on doing some troubleshooting on some of the signs that are out. The airfield beacon was out of service. We got that returning to service as well. With all that and pieces up to the top of the tower, we got it repaired. Currently working on some positions that are available. Ground maintenance worker 2. We're currently in the process of setting up interviews for that. And then also due to the rains and due to some construction, like we mentioned, we had some issues on Pogo roads and potholes, so we are currently working to remedy that situation. Some of it is actually already been prepared by
Users.
by people. Yeah. So we're gonna work with them and try to get some potholes smoothed out and get things. That's on Pogo Road, so that's on the north side of the. Oh, okay. So the rain hit it.
We're having forecast on that for
Keep that for gate 2. Yeah, I'm currently working on that as well.
It's pretty much can't get development.
Actually, all of those gate front or the keypads will actually, as part of the grant under project, will be eventually upgraded as well. So
Could I suggest that maybe you change the entry code to it, 2 buttons that haven't been used for the last 10 years? I mean, serious, like maybe work better because Those buttons are just like stuck in, they don't pop back out.
Yeah, and we've been working with our contractor and have them replace those buttons, but for whatever reason, it's not working. For instance, gate one, we tried to do that, we ended up having to put a whole new system in, which is actually quite costly to us.
No, I totally.
So if we can try to remedy it, so we get, like I said, we have a grant money project supposed to take care of all of those gateways, so that should.
Customers like Skydive and stuff, can't do that gate.
Yeah, we'll work on getting that. Any other questions?
Thank you, Eddie. Okay. So as you can see, the staff is busy. I have a couple of things to update you on. The first one is obviously regarding our most crucial and important project, which is a unleaded fuel tank in order to provide retail unleaded fuel to the users of the airport. The department that is in charge of that, engineering capital projects, is looking to help us build that tank ASAP. A report is in the agenda packet that you have today. It is expected that due to all of the federal requirements, and that includes environmental requirements, that this will be built by November 2025. We are conscious that this is not something that we were expecting. We're expecting to build that much quicker, but right now the situation is out of our control on the build of that tank. But staff, that is Department of Real Estate and Airport Management staff, we are working not only on the UL94 fuel, but also on the new GAMI product that just became available and that all general aviation aircraft can use. I just wanted to point out that the FAA, yes, they did approve GAMI to be used on all general aviation, but the fuel is not yet in production. It actually also require pilots to purchase an STC, a supplemental type certificate for the aircraft. And when fuel starts being produced, which will be in a couple of months, according to the manufacturer or to the company, it's still going to be taking some time to plan out who's actually going to be getting it. We're trying to get ahead of line, trying to make sure that we get it first. I'm not really sure how we're going to make that happen. There's a couple of challenges that we're trying to go through, but the company is now in conversation with a big refinery in Texas, trying to make sure that this gets produced ASAP, so that, if that gets produced ASAP, we will be trying to get it here. We're looking at other products also that are not permanent, but maybe something that would be temporary to hold some of that fuel here at the airport so that we can start selling. So I just wanted to point that out, and it's not that we're sitting on our laurels, it's just that it takes time. Any questions regarding that?
I know that the GAMI is supposed to be 100 octane. Right now, as an aircraft owner, I'd love to be fuel there. And even if I have to get an STC, the GAMI in there, do that, it's probably not cost prohibitive. But the UL94, I can't legally run in any of the airplanes I own except me. So I'd love to have it, and all these complaints should get public, the issues that the FAA needs to come up with a reasonable choice for aircraft to use with their fuel. And the part of that, my question is, when you're putting in the tank, is it going to be one tank or two tanks? So is it going to be UL94 and GAMI, or
it could be either or, it could be one of each. I'm not sure at this point. We're trying to figure out how to get down with the fuel first.
Yeah.
And I want to just go on the record, because we've been looking at this for a long time. There are billions of federal dollars pushing on this. There are multiple agencies pushing on this. This is a priority for the federal government, for local governments. I don't know any pilot that says, yeah, I want to keep using Honeywell if there's a good alternative. So I know that your neighborhood is concerned about it, Richard. They're not getting any pushback from us again. everything we can do to move this forward, but it is an immense infrastructure change, as you can imagine, nationally. And it's just not gonna happen overnight. I know I'm doing everything.
Is there another unleaded fuel that's in circulation right now besides the GAMI?
To my knowledge, no.
The UL 94 is limited availability, I think. So, like I said, it's not. It won't work on most. It's not.
The other fuel that I'm talking about, GAMI is the company that came up with it, but the fuel is not it's not in distribution yet for retail. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to set up a company, a refinery in Texas, in order to get it out to all of the different areas.
So for the other regional airports that have enacted unleaded fuel only, they're running with this UL 94?
UL 94, which not all aircraft can take.
And it's basically shut here.
Most aircraft can't use.
So we're going to resolve the difference in the timing of the fuel availability. So it's a little bit complicated, I'll tell you that. But if you're looking at November of 2025, and you know, if that was the date, I'm not saying that is going to be the date, but if that was a setup date, we would work in conjunction with the FBOs, so that the FBOs will be ready to provide unleaded fuel on the first day that the tank is available. Now, if there's other sort of type of alternatives, like having a temporary tank, which we're trying to go through and jump through the hoops and loops to make it happen, then it may be sooner, but that's the goal. Sounds like it. Fuels will be ready to go with that tank. Thank you.
Just as one of the FBOs on the field, we'll be providing the fuel just as soon as it's available, but we wish that the coalition, this Montgomery coalition, would focus their efforts on things that can make a difference. Putting pressure on the local government doesn't really do anything. They should be working with national organizations that have the ability to produce the fuel and distribute it. We'll be selling it as soon as it's available to us here at this airport. But you know, the city council and people at San Diego government level, they don't understand that. But, you know, there's no hold up here. The hold ups at the distribution and production.
Thank you, that's very clarifying, and the word is now, that then it's available to Crown itself.
And it probably will be more expensive because the quantities being shipped are
you're
much,
talking
much
data.
smaller. What's that?
I know you're talking to Dave.
But the reality is, when it's available, I don't think you're gonna see a groundswell movement of people using it because it's gonna be almost cost prohibitive. What's going to need to change is for the distribution to be nationwide in a way that really replaces the existing fuel. Until that happens, people should expect it's gonna be really expensive. They have to get an STC for their airplane, and the fuel itself will be more because of the transportation costs. So the local, you know, groups that are, you know, up in arms about it, they should be, but they should be talking to national groups as opposed to. There's nothing that can be done at the local level.
Congressional representatives.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you. I do have a couple of more items to give you updates on. For example, the BFAB and Round 5 leases that was presented to you back in February, where the city will be taking back some property from these leaseholds in exchange for basically the 10-year extension for the CIP that BFAB was supposed to build. Went through City Council on March 21st, 2023. We are expecting to sign that agreement the first week of May, and just wanted to give you an update on that basically. Also, the corporate helicopters development that is scheduled to happen at Montgomery Gibbs is undergoing preliminary review of plans by staff, and we're talking to the developer on the project moving along. Additionally, staff is working on the leases for Sorby and Miramar College, and they will be presented to the AAC probably next month or the month after. And the target date for council is July of this year. Also, I wanted to talk to you about one project that is happening at Brownfield, the runway 8 right, 26 left. We did have a kickoff meeting on March 9, 2023. That was a preliminary meeting for the planning of that project, and that is for the smaller runway that we're looking to do. just a couple more things. I don't know if the team here is familiar with CalDART. That's the California Local Air Lifting. And what they exist for is basically it's a group of pilots throughout the state that participate at airports just in case there's some earthquake or any type of natural incident where somebody would need supplies or somebody would need I don't know, organ transplant or medicine, and the roads were not available, then they could use the airports to transport those things. And I can tell you, coming from my previous employer in Ventura County, there were some mudslides between Ventura and Santa Barbara. There were a couple of pilots doing this through CalDART. Now, they are looking to conduct a statewide exercise with both of our airports on May 13, 2023. At this point, I'm not really sure how many pilots are going to be involved, but if you're curious and want to know more about this, just contact me and I can send you the links and websites and information. There was a meeting that just took place an hour before this one, so I missed half of the meeting, but they were providing us with some background as to what that would entitle. Additionally, just to provide you an update on the membership for the Airports Advisory Committee. There was mentioned, I believe last time, that Mr. Dave Gordon, Ron Lee, and Tom Reed, there was a memo circulating that those positions were going to be reinstated again or go for another term. That is an internal memo that didn't go to council yet. It is a memo mayor to city council. It's not a memo that you have seen yet. But when city council approves those positions, that's when you know that you're being appointed. Probably. But there is a gentleman also that his name is Chase Michael Franzen. He is replacing Mr. Boss Gibbs, and he was just appointed by City Council 2 days ago. Mr. Franzen is works for Sharp Hospital, and he's a user of the airport and a flight instructor at the airport, and he has some great aviation experience, and he will probably be here at the next meeting. I don't believe he has been sworn in yet. I'm trying to check on that, but I'm expecting that he will be here next month. And last but not least, I wanted to recognize Ms. Enza Charles, because this will be her last Airports Advisory Committee meeting. She has been with the city for over 15 years, right, Enza? And a little bit over 3 years with airports, and she has participated on a lot of our projects. She has done a lot of great things. So she is retiring from the city, and just wanted to thank her publicly for her service.
Congratulations.
Have any more? Unless there's
Any questions for Director Rubio? All right, moving right along, we're going to item 7C, air traffic control tower. I'm going to turn it over to Bill. What's going on at ATC?
Well, thanks. Nothing new from Montgomery, so keep it short.
I always have to add that they are the finest tower control group I've ever worked with.
Thank you.
They do a fantastic job with multiple types of aircraft. It gets incredibly busy. I know you guys are short-handed. I even had them apologize to me because they couldn't do something special. I'm like, gee, you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
No, they're doing a great job.
So how are the spots working, the numbered spots?
The limited times we've been using it is great. We're still trying to reach out to the pilot community about the spots and informing about it. But as of right now, I mean, whoever uses it works great, but everybody's doing it. Not everybody. So.
And there's been an underground movement called the Kids Tower instead of Montgomery Tower.
Oh, no.
That's okay, right? Yes, no?
No.
No. Really? Okay, I'll squash it.
Yes.
So the spots, if you're there, you know what it is. As far as I can tell, none of the airport diagrams are. Think you have to submit something. Can we get the spots put on the airport diagram?
It's not standard, so it wouldn't go on an airport diagram. We can continue to do outreach. I think we're scheduling a meeting April 19th for an airport user meeting and talk more about it there and.
So if you don't know where the spots are, you can't say I'm spot right. Off one of the go.
But the old way still works.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Joel. I know how busy you guys are. I really appreciate that. Item 7B is other reports. Do we have any big comments on other reports? Mr. Reed, nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Any committee comments? Item number 8. The only thing I would say is I know a little bit something about Cal's Arts. It seems to be a good organization. They also are very involved in communications. In other words, if there is a massive something like an earthquake or a comic event or something to knock out cell phones, they get the airplane running across with CDs and throwaway radios to ensure communication between airports and hospitals and things like that. Big word.
So related to my previous comment, the executive airport program, taxiway Juliet, had a tremendous amount of fun, way worse than Miracle. Part of this experience, one of my aircraft suffered significant damage, possibly over $5,000 plus $15,000. Yeah. And the day my aircraft had it, just a matter of 5 minutes, I picked up that low spot. We got several other owners. Sorry, little nicks in the violent props. We through the life. Biggest part of this problem is on taxiway Juliet, gravel road, which is more of a rock with an option about 1.5 to 2 inches of diameter. We're getting kicked out on taxiway Juliet. So this is asking Crown Air as well as the city to do something, that stuff.
Maybe we took a stop sign out there. If it's not on a movement area, is that a good idea? But if people come to a stop and then they roll out, they won't be carrying. I feel the advice to give that stopping.
We can look into it and find a solution.
Okay, thank you.
There's gonna be a construction fence there before too long, and that road won't even be accessible, so any traffic will have to go on the taxiways.
There you go.
That's gonna happen. I don't know what the timeline is for the.
Robert Holocaust has been telling them ready to start in 5-10 years.
Closer to that.
All right.
I understand.
I am at my favorite point in the agenda. We need somebody to move to adjourn. Second. Well, ready? Here comes the gavel. Here you go. Over.
Nice meeting you, sir. Good meeting you. Thanks very much.